What's up, guys? Paul Vecchio, Tripoli Productions. I'm just going to take you on a little behind the scenes tour of this commercial that we shot. It's called Hardcore Edge, and it is a pretty cool spot. It actually has some really cool effects in it where this girl is just walking and she's falling between different environments. Cool things happen on the transitions and as she falls into these different environments. Okay, so before we get started, I just want to mention one thing about the spot. The spot itself is not supposed to look 100% realistic. It was decided upon that we were going to use these backgrounds that were rendered out of a 3D program. Now, these backgrounds are not supposed to be photorealistic. They're supposed to represent what the condo rooms will look like, what the amenities will look like, and what the neighborhood is going to look like. Let's just go over this first part right here. So she's just walking in this room, and so we just had to kind of walk on a green screen, and we had those. If you look in the background, you see those tracking markers, and what those basically do are provide a point of tracking so that we know how the camera's moving on the X and Y axis. So we were able to track the camera movement and then place the background according to that tracking, place the background into the shot and have it kind of move with the camera because the camera itself is on a dolly. So and basically when she passes through the floor, it's just kind of this thing that's obscuring her. It's just kind of in the foreground, and it covers the transition between the floor or the apartment room here, and then it kind of covers up that transition between when she hits the floor and then she goes right through and she ends up in the amenities, which is a pool section. Now, this pool section is kind of cool. The water didn't have any motion to it. So what we actually had to do there was film a pool, and we just kind of cut the section of the pool and just laid it in there and feathered the edges so that it all blended together well. We lost the reflection. If you look back on the still image here, that you can kind of see that there's a reflection on top of the water. And when we added the water, because it's from a different location and whatnot, it doesn't have the reflection of the actual pool area. In fact, there's no real reflection on it at all because it's an outdoor pool. So what we had to do was kind of bring back that reflection in post-production. And we just kind of had her walk and push this guy's hat off, and then she falls onto this mattress covered by a green screen. But what we did here was we had her fall, and there's a splash right there, if you can kind of see that. What we had to do for that was, now that we had the footage of the pool, I just had Elke jump in. By the way, Elke's my producer. She is an amazing filmmaker and director herself, but I hired her to kind of help me produce this thing. So anyway, I just had Elke run and jump into the pool. At first she did a belly flop because that's kind of like the way the girl falls. And then it kind of hurt.
Please tell me you got that!
Yeah. Why, is it cold?
No.
Okay.
It kind of hurts a little.
Oh, does it really?
A little.
So I just told her, you know what, just do cannonballs. It's fine. We're just really looking for the splash here. We don't really need to kind of match it up. I mean, I can kind of just match that up in post anyway. So we threw that splash in there. And then what we did was we had this water kind of just like fly off of her, or through the environment, sort of like kind of blend the two environments together by having this water element kind of just splash onto the street. And you'll notice a few things here. So we just had that kind of as a fun little element. It doesn't obviously, again, this is not supposed to look 100% realistic. It looks pretty good, and it adds like a fun kind of element to the commercial. Now over here you'll see as she walks, she kind of has this like water kind of splashing off of her, and that's something we added in post-production again. Some people might say, oh, she just fell into a pool, why isn't she all wet? But for logistical reasons, it just kind of didn't really work, especially on the day of the shoot. We would have to drench her in water and just have her walk on the green screen, and it's not really, I mean, this is like a fantasy kind of thing, you know what I mean? She comes through on the other side, she's dry, she just kind of shakes the water off, and she's okay. It's supposed to be a fun, like I said, a fun, not realistic kind of commercial. It's supposed to be sort of like this fantasy thing. I mean, the camera's turning as she's busting through these environments. I mean, it's obviously not supposed to be realistic. It's supposed to have a fun type of vibe to it. So that's, we figured, you know what, it's probably better off if we don't even have her soaking wet, because I mean, what's going to happen? She's going to have to be soaking wet all throughout the shoot, so we opted not to even do that. Another thing too is that my buddy Eric, he was looking at some of the stuff we did in post-production. As soon as we had the first meeting, the conference call with the ad agency, we brought this idea up to them that was Eric's idea, and he said, what if some of the water splashed and hit the lens and then dripped down? And I was like, that is awesome, because that adds sort of like a fun element to the production. So we ran it by them, and they liked the idea and said, yeah, let's try it, let's do it. After they saw it, they said, yeah, that looks cool, let's keep that. And basically that's just an element that we just threw in there. It's not actual real footage. It's a sort of like a CG kind of element that water hits the lens. We added a blur onto it, so it looks like it's out of focus right on the lens. Now the street thing is the one that really gets me. I love this transition. When I first put it together, I was like, wow, that actually does look kind of cool, you know? It was kind of challenging, because what we did was we had them just walk and then fall. And then in order to get them falling, we just had them lay on the green screen, and then I had Elke grab the actress's hair and hold it up so it looks like it's getting that wind resistance, and it's, you know, flowing in the wind as they're falling. So little details like that will really help sell the effect. So we just had Elke hold her hair, and then we lined that up so that as they were falling, we can do a digital switch over to live action footage. And basically, this is the live action footage. We actually started up on a tall box, and we had them just fall onto the bed. And the trick is that we wanted them to be completely horizontal before they hit the bed, so that we can kind of sell the effect of them falling from the ceiling down onto the bed. And like I said, at the last moment, even if it was a frame just before they hit the bed, I can do a digital switch over to kind of cover up the fact that they didn't actually drop from the ceiling. So we just had them kind of fall from this box. But the problem was that on the second take, when we had them fall from the box, the frame on the bed broke.
Hi there!
As you can see here, it's actually kind of like leaning off to the side. We actually had someone else behind the bed to hold the pillows, because on the first take, they just kind of bounced all over the place. Same thing with the second take. It was just kind of rough. So what we did was we had someone hold the pillows in place, and as they fell, they broke the frame on the second take. So I was like, you know what? Let's just throw the bed on the floor, and then I can kind of like combine the two in post-production. So as you see here, the bed's on the floor, and then what I did was I just had them jump onto the mattress right on the floor, someone holding the pillows in the background so they don't fly all over the place and fall onto the floor. Basically, after we got the right take of this, of them jumping onto the mattress while it's on the floor, I combined it with the previous takes of the bed still on the frame. So as you see here, I cut the frame out from the bottom here, pasted it in there, or put it in there, and then I moved the bed, and I kind of just placed it so it still looks like it's on top of the frame, even though it was actually on the floor. And what we did was we just kind of matched perspective on that, so that you can kind of see here that, you know, like it doesn't look like the bed is you know, off axis or anything like that, or the perspective is off. So I just kind of combined those two, and it actually worked out better, because they were kind of, you know, they felt a little safer jumping off the floor and onto this thing which was still on the floor, rather than you know, falling off a box and onto a bed. Everything is on the floor, so all they had to do was jump up here, land, make sure they were horizontal in the air, and then land onto the bed, which again is on the floor. So it's a little bit, you know, gives you a little bit more confidence than jumping off a box.
2, 3.
The only trick there was that I had to make sure that they were completely horizontal before they landed on the bed. Otherwise, the effect of them falling from the ceiling, you know, I wouldn't have been able to sell it. Well, once again, this is Paul Del Vecchio from Triple E Productions. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for some more cool stuff coming up. Thanks, guys.
That was good. Good. Okay, cut. Good.